Welcome to Paranormal Peak, and this is a special long-form investigation that cuts right to the heart of the disclosure wars. For decades, the greatest mystery wasn't whether aliens exist, but who in our government is keeping the secret. Tonight, we have our answer. The key story broke just recently, in the last week of November, from the documentary The Age of Disclosure. It centers on former White House science advisor Dr. Eric Davis. Dr. Davis isn't a fringe theorist. He's a highly respected physicist who is officially consulted for the Pentagon on advanced aerospace threats. Dr. Davis revealed that during a private conversation in 2003, former President George H.W. Bush confessed something chilling. Despite having served as Vice President, Director of the CIA, and President of the United States, he was denied access to UFO files. Bush allegedly told Davis he was informed he did not have the need to know. This is the entire crisis of disclosure in a single statement. If the highest elected official in the land, the Commander-in-Chief, is deemed untrustworthy or irrelevant to the most profound secret in human history, then the files are controlled by a power that exists above the presidency. The 1964 landing. The specific incident Bush confirmed to Davis goes back to 1964 at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. Davis alleges that 3 distinct UFOs landed and a non-human entity emerged and interacted with high-level officials. This wasn't a flyby or a distant light. This was a close encounter of the third kind, a face-to-face meeting on American soil. The fact that President Bush was aware of the story but unable to penetrate the files confirms what we call the legacy program. The denial of President Bush's access is not an isolated incident. It is a legacy of denial stretching back to the dawn of the nuclear age. The legacy program didn't just appear, it was born from presidential fear. The consensus theory is that the secrecy structure began with President Harry S. Truman after the 1947 Roswell incident. Faced with evidence of non-human technology, an absolute game-changer, Truman allegedly created the original compartmented organization, variously known as Majestic 12 or MJ-12, with one mandate: containment at all costs. The legacy program's first act was to deliberately deceive the sitting president. This betrayal reached its tragic peak with President John F. Kennedy. We have reports, backed by documents, that in 1963, a frustrated JFK demanded the CIA and NASA share all classified UFO files with him. Just 10 days later, in what many believe is the ultimate consequence of attempting to pierce the veil, President Kennedy was assassinated. The theory is chillingly simple. The legacy program will allow no one, not even the president, to jeopardize the secrecy. George H.W. Bush's denial in 2003 wasn't the beginning of the cover-up. It was simply the most recent proof that the program outlasted the very presidents who created it. The legacy program isn't just a political problem. It's a profound physical danger. The secrets they are guarding come at a very real human and scientific cost. The denial of the legacy program has had gruesome human consequences. The documentary we have been referencing throughout this special, The Age of Disclosure, which broke the news of President Bush's denied access and Dr. Eric Davis's testimony, also features a crucial scientific voice: Dr. Gary Nolan. Dr. Nolan is a respected immunologist at Stanford University who has specialized in studying the physiological effects of close UAP encounters. Dr. Nolan has examined military personnel involved in these incidents and describes individuals suffering horrific burns, neurological damage, and radiation sickness. This confirms that the technology they are retrieving and testing is actively dangerous to human physiology. The military is allegedly placing personnel in harm's way without medical protection or oversight to continue reverse engineering this technology, all while the legacy program operates in the shadows. The heart of the legacy program's material secret is not just technology, but impossible science. Whistleblowers have repeatedly detailed the retrieval of wreckage composed of metamaterials, alloys structured at the atomic level that defy known tensile strength and density limits. These materials, often layered with bismuth, magnesium, and zinc, do not exist naturally on Earth. Hiding this secret is crucial because its public release would instantly collapse major segments of the materials science industry. Even more disturbing is the claim confirmed by David Grush. The legacy program has also retrieved non-human biologics. We are not just talking about debris, we are talking about alleged bodies. The secrecy here is about far more than technology. It's about theology and our place in the universe. If the legacy program revealed the existence of non-human entities, every major world religion and philosophical institution would face an immediate existential crisis. This is the single biggest secret they are desperate to guard. The existence of a secret reverse engineering program creates a massive scientific blind spot. When credible scientists encounter UAP technology, like the 3I/ATLAS object, the legacy program's secrecy actively works against real discovery. Think back to our recent investigation into 3I/ATLAS. When Harvard's Avi Loeb claimed the interstellar object's non-gravitational acceleration and highly specific nickel composition pointed to technological origins, he was met with dismissal. If the legacy program already knows that non-human technology exhibits exactly these anomalous characteristics, but is legally bound to keep that information secret, then true science is hobbled. The scientific community is forced to dismiss actual evidence because the government is protecting its classified secrets. The existence of the legacy program means that every time a scientist calls an anomalous object a comet, they may be unwittingly reinforcing a decades-old cover-up. But the deepest scientific secret is the fundamental physical principle being suppressed: anti-gravity. The legacy program's fear is not just that the UAP technology is advanced, it's that it proves our current understanding of physics, specifically Einstein's theory of relativity and the speed of light barrier, is incomplete or entirely wrong. The UAP's ability to accelerate instantaneously, turn on a dime without inertia, and achieve impossible velocities suggests they are manipulating space-time itself. The legacy program knows that UAP propulsion is based on principles that could grant anyone the ability to travel virtually anywhere, instantly. Releasing this truth means surrendering all global boundaries, all national defense strategies, and collapsing the power structure built on fossil fuels and slow conventional travel. The physical secret is the power to end the world as we know it. The legacy program is not just a collection of secrets, it's an organization of immense power, and that power is fueled by something concrete: untouchable funding. For decades, this program has operated in the shadows, outside of the normal appropriations process. Whistleblowers have repeatedly claimed that the funds supporting the UAP retrieval and reverse engineering efforts are misappropriated, diverted from officially authorized government budgets. This creates a financial black hole. Think of the sheer cost: securing and hiding massive, non-human craft, constructing secure facilities, compensating personnel with high-level clearances, and funding the decades of experimental reverse engineering. This is an operation costing potentially hundreds of billions of dollars over time, and it has gone completely unchecked by Congress. The paradox here is astounding. The people demanding absolute secrecy because the technology is critical to national security are also the people committing massive financial fraud against the national treasury. They are breaking the law and undermining democracy in the name of protecting democracy. Fortunately, Congress has finally begun to fight back against this shadow government. In the wake of David Grush's testimony and the shocking reports of cover-ups, there has been an historic, bipartisan push for legislative action. This effort centers on a specific legislative provision, often referred to as the UAP Disclosure Act, which mandates a comprehensive review and disclosure of all UAP-related records. The most controversial part of this act is its reliance on eminent domain. The legislation includes a mandate for the federal government to claim eminent domain over all recovered UAP technology held by private companies and contractors. This is a direct admission by Congress that the material exists and that they do not currently control it. This legislative move is a desperate public attempt to legally dismantle the legacy program and bring the technology and the files back into the public domain where they belong. It is, essentially, Congress declaring war on the secret keepers. This is why whistleblowers like David Grush and experts like Dr. Eric Davis take such immense risks. They are not exposing a simple secret. They are exposing a multi-billion-dollar shadow economy operating above the law. Grush, in his testimony, detailed the vicious retaliation he and others faced, punishment that comes not from an alien enemy, but from powerful, well-funded individuals within our own system, desperately trying to protect their financial and technological monopoly. The legacy program is the ultimate gatekeeper, and Congress's push to seize the assets proves they know the material is real, and they know the gatekeepers are corrupt. We have established that the legacy program is an unchecked organization operating above the law, using financial fraud and technological debt to maintain secrecy. But the stakes of this cover-up are not just American, they are planetary. The legacy program's claim is that they must maintain a monopoly on reverse-engineered technology for U.S. national security, but this fear is now actively endangering the world. Other major powers, China, Russia, and developing nations, are not sitting idle. They see the UAPs, they are retrieving materials, and they are running their own black budget reverse engineering programs. The greatest danger isn't that the U.S. loses the technological race, but that these life-altering physics principles, anti-gravity, instantaneous travel, are developed in secrecy by multiple hostile nations simultaneously. We could soon face a global, undetectable arms race based on non-human science, all because the legacy program fears true transparency. The cover-up has created a global technology gap that invites war, not peace. All global militaries, US, Russian, Chinese, have internal video and radar evidence confirming that the UAP phenomenon is unified and global. This means that the entities, the technology, and the underlying physics are the same, whether they appear over Nevada or over the South China Sea. The legacy program, by keeping its secrets, prevents humanity from confronting the phenomenon as a single species. instead of pooling global scientific resources to understand this unified NHI presence, we are forced into an adversarial relationship driven by military competition. The legacy program's secrecy is fundamentally anti-humanity. But while the generals and politicians struggle, the global population is already adapting. We covered the poll data on the increase in belief in the paranormal. This is being driven by the fact that the UAP and NHI phenomenon cuts across traditional boundaries. The existence of these entities forces us to confront questions of consciousness, telepathy, and the nature of the soul, concepts previously confined to spiritual or religious thought. The global spiritual community is already building a framework for post-disclosure existence. They are ready to accept that reality is far broader than the legacy program's materialist, military worldview. The cultural resistance the legacy program feared decades ago is gone. The fear of the unknown has been replaced by a hunger for the truth. The legacy program is operating in a world that no longer exists, a world where the public would panic at the sight of a non-human entity. Today, the only panic will come when the public realizes the depths of the technological and ethical betrayal. The legacy program cannot survive forever. The walls they erected are now being bombarded from every angle, by whistleblowers exposing their financial corruption, by Congress demanding legislative seizure, and by the undeniable scientific evidence that their monopoly is unstable. The legacy program now faces an inevitable choice, and the choice they make will determine the course of human history. 1. The path of self-destruction. They maintain secrecy, leading to continued financial fraud, an unchecked global arms race using non-human technology, and the ultimate loss of control when a hostile foreign power achieves full reverse engineering capability first. This guarantees global catastrophe. 2. The path of forgiveness, voluntary disclosure. They recognize the moral, scientific, and global necessity of releasing the data before they are forced to. This path is painful, but it allows for global scientific collaboration on anti-gravity physics, potentially solving the energy crisis and healing the decades of societal distrust. And 3. The path of chaos, forced disclosure. They wait until the inevitable, until the legislative efforts succeed, or until a catastrophic retrieval incident becomes undeniable. This will result in mass public confusion, criminal investigation into decades of fraud, and utter collapse of the intelligence community's credibility. The secrets of the 1964 Holloman landing, the alien biology, and the technological blueprints, the result of a terrifying 60-year bargain, are still locked away, funded by unchecked black budgets. But the evidence is undeniable. The secrets exist. The legacy program is real, and the legal fight for the truth is now in its final, most critical phase. The door is creaking open. The question is no longer who made the deal, but who pays the final debt. If they are hiding the existence of non-human entities, ask yourself this: what happens when those entities decide they no longer wish to be hidden? The legacy program may have silenced presidents, but they cannot silence a species ready to step out into the cosmos. Thank you for processing this special investigation episode of Paranormal Peak. This transmission cycle is now concluding. Until the next broadcast, keep your receivers open.